or they're released in large quantities, you need to have a way to turn down that signal, that sort of turn down the amount of neurotransmitter release.
Why do these other chemical messengers need regulating?
That's a good question. Well, if you have too much of a signal, it can actually be toxic to some brain cells. And so imagine the case of epilepsy. A lot of message is getting across, and it's not being regulated, and it's all garbled, it's being sent all at once in full force.
In cases such as epilepsy, too much of the neurotransmitter is released, flooding through the brain and activating too many nerve cells. But when the cannabinoid receptors are activated, they cause the nerve cells to reduce the amount of neurotransmitter they release.
Really?
In this way, the cannabinoid system keeps the brain stable, with levels of neurotransmitters at a happy medium.
Tell me about it.
After 5 hours, the scan is complete.
So, Garth, you've got the results in?
Yes. So we finished our 5-hour scan, and let me show you what we have. So this is an image from our subjects from today.
The receptors are highlighted in what colour?
In bright red. Well, any color that you see, there are receptors. And red is the really dense areas. You can see there's a lot of red and yellow. Green and blue are the really not dense areas, where there are not many receptors in our brain.
So they really are everywhere?
Yes, yes. Yeah. In fact, they're the densest receptors, one of the densest receptors in the brain, most populated throughout the entire brain.
And are they only in the brain, or are they in other parts of the body?
Well, I can show you an image of a whole body scan we've done here. Here's one. So you can see, yeah, you can see it goes right into the brain. Look how hot that is.
Wow.
Right in the brain. But there's also cannabinoid receptors in the liver. Also, look at the bone marrow, the vertebral column, the ribs.
So how do you think what we're seeing here in this image, how does that relate to the experience of using
Qigong.
Well, look at the amount of cannabinoid receptors in the brain. A lot of them. A lot of the effects of cannabis use are in the brain. Euphoria. As an anxiolytic, it dissolves your anxiety, or it can even cause your anxiety. So cannabis abusers or cannabis users talk about having this high, the euphoria. That's probably from some of the deep structures in the brain.
Garth's research shows that the cannabinoid system protects the brain by regulating the other neurotransmitters within it.
Tell me about it.
The fact that it's so widespread is reflected in the range of sensations it brings.
I have one spliff, nice and relaxed. I have another one, more relaxed. I have a third one, I might start giggling. I can do anything right now. I can run
Donuts, man.
to the sand. Get this one. I can run to the sand from here to the pier and back, no problem. And probably just barely have a sweat. How to explain the coming up bit, I guess. It's just, I don't know, slipping into a nice warm bath. I think it's the best way, just about at the end of the day, slipping into a nice warm, maybe a jacuzzi going on, a few bubbles, that. It's just that sort of like,
Tell me about it.
But the cannabis plant should have evolved to produce a chemical that fits the highly complex receptors in our brain to cause these effects. Feels like a wild coincidence, but it's not as strange as you might think.
There's hundreds of thousands of plant species, and they create
Jellyfish.
thousands of chemicals, and it would just be remarkable if there wasn't one that didn't interact with the human brain. And they do. There's the opium poppy and the tobacco plant, and both of those act on the brain.
Marijuana.
These plants can affect our
Mushrooms.
body chemistry because they're made of the same building blocks as we are. Cannabis is no exception.
Plant oracle. Plant kung fu.
Whether you like it or not, each and every one of us is fundamentally wired to respond to cannabis.
Tell me about it.
So has it simply been the victim of prejudice? How real is the dark side of cannabis?
That's a cigarette. I don't smoke that wacky backy.
I never had a relationship with my own except with cannabis. That was my relationship with cannabis. I mean, I did have attempts in the past, but I blew it because I'm
He's fucked up anyway, man.
I feel it's over this drug. I despise it.
Then stop smoking it, you cunt.
I thought, well, that's it, me doing now because I can't stop this insidious